Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. I am Miranda Hess. I am a co-facilitator for the Lehigh Valley Supporting Families Collaborative. My co-facilitator from Northampton County is Emily, and she is actually out on maternity leave, but we have Des joining us tonight as a representative. Des, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, Desiree Yeager with Northampton County Developmental Programs. Certainly thank you to all the presenters who are joining us tonight and for everyone who logged on to get some of this great information.
So tonight we are presenting on social and recreational opportunities in the Lehigh Valley. So we have a couple of presenters on tonight. We are going to start with Equilibrium, Therapeutic Arts Group, then Special Olympics and Solo Expressions Dance. We have invited all of these presenters to tell us a little bit about what they have to offer, who's eligible to receive some programming from them, and what kind of funding, if any, would be needed in order to access these programs. So we can just jump right in, and I would first like to introduce Jessie from Equilibrium.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So my name is Jessie Chappelle. I'm the executive director at Equilibrium. Some people say Equa, some people say Equa. It's interchangeable and it's fine. Um, and the picture behind me is actually of our lovely farm when it's not storming and gross as it is right now. Um, so Equilibrium is a therapeutic horsemanship center in Nazareth in Northampton County. And we have been around in some iteration for over 40 years. Equilibrium started as really just a collaborative program between nonprofit organizations and then became its own 501c3 nonprofit organization in 2001. And we've been in the Lehigh Valley for about 12 years now, 11 going on 12 years. Before that, we were up primarily in the Pocono region. So we still serve today. Now that we're in Northampton County, really the vast majority of our participants come from Northampton County, but then we also see kind of closely behind that Lehigh and then Monroe counties, and then kind of some of the surrounding counties beyond there. So in the Lehigh Valley, Equilibrium is the only therapeutic riding and horsemanship center that is accredited. So there is an accrediting body, the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship, that holds centers through this kind of rigorous accreditation process to really high standards, mostly concerning safety. Safety for participants, safety for the staff or volunteers that are working in this field, because we are working with horses, and that is, that really does add a very big variable into services, because not only are we working with individuals with a variety of needs and abilities, but then also very large animals too. So that safety piece is really key. And that's, safety in terms of our facilities, our adaptive equipment, the credentialing for our instructors have to be particularly credentialed in order to be teaching lessons and programs. Just different requirements, like I said, amongst our facilities, our program facilities, our barns, training and care requirements for the horses so that they're suitable for the type of work that we're asking them to do, and so on. So Equilibrium has kind of been filling that niche for, like I said, over 40 years in the Lehigh Valley community, primarily Northampton County, but also beyond. And we really started out very therapeutic minded. We were specifically kind of a collaboration with nonprofit organizations that were serving individuals with disabilities, but also physical therapists. And the combination thereof was really focusing on individuals, particularly kids with physical disabilities, specifically cerebral palsy, and some other similar diagnoses. And throughout the years, we've really evolved more and more with the needs of the community, so that we're seeing really a much larger diversity in diagnoses that we see from participants coming in. So we don't have a particular, in order to join our programs, we don't have a particular, specific set of diagnoses that we will accept or won't accept. Every single person who comes in does get an intake assessment first so that they can come out to the farm, see the horses, see what we're about, and then we can have one of our credentialed instructors do an assessment as well to make sure that whatever program that individual is being put into is one that is safe, effective for them, and free from any contraindications that any of their individual diagnoses or particular needs might bring. With this transition, we do see, from kind of specifically physical diagnoses to what we're seeing now is really a lot of developmental, intellectual, and even mental health diagnoses, especially amongst teenagers and young adults, although children as well. So really a lot of participants with autism, a lot of participants with ADHD, and then still seeing a lot of participants with a variety of physical diagnoses as well, but it really runs the entire gamut with programs, again, kind of specialized depending on the needs and goals of each participant. Now, with that being said, a lot of the goals that we do see are social and recreational. So, whereas it used to be extremely therapy based, especially, like I said, physical therapy, then some occupational therapy too, what we've really seen, maybe especially in the past 5 years, since the pandemic in particular, is really just a need for an outlet for kids, young adults, people of all ages to be able to get outside and do something that is safe and fun, physical activity, social interaction, learning new skills, but also in a way that can be adapted. So, adapted, whether that be, again, with our particular instructors, adaptive in terms of equipment, horse needs, lesson needs, things like that, that we're able to kind of uniquely accommodate based on the type of center that we are, and kind of our unique skills and what we're able to do with our horses and instructors. So we, in terms of social and recreational, the vast majority of our programs do take place in group lessons, and that's intentional. And sometimes that is groups anywhere from 2 to 4 individuals at a time riding their horses or doing unmounted activities, really working on skills that, they're working towards independence, social skills, communication, working on shared goals, especially if we do have multiple riders in the same lesson with their horses, problem solving skills, self-confidence, because essentially our goal is for as many of our riders as possible to be riding or leading their horses independently, really with as little volunteer assistance as possible. And so that really is, it's work. It's work in terms of communication, nonverbal communication, communicating to the horses. But realistically, that's kind of the guiding light for us with all of our participants and our programs, is that increased independence, helping people reach their highest potential. So whether that be, riding off lead and riding their horse independently, whether that be some of our participants who have gone on to become volunteers then, or even working on vocational skills and are taking care of the horses now, employed by the organization, really making sure that there are those opportunities throughout, from really the first time that someone is sitting on a horse or working with a horse all the way up whatever their goals might be. So that's kind of a little bit of information, but I would like, I don't know if we want to do, like, I don't know what the format is, if we do questions now or questions at the end, but I can answer specific questions.
Yeah, sure. If anybody has any questions for Jessie now, you guys can feel free to throw them out.
Hi, I just wanted to know, is it like all different? Is it just pretty much Saturday or the weekend, or do you have different things during the week as well?
Yeah, we run, so it's not just Saturdays. We run our normal programs Monday through Saturday, and then we do special programming here and there on Sundays. So most of our programs are weekly. So if a participant is signing up for our programs, traditionally it would be a 10-week session. We are moving, actually gravitating towards a month to month, mostly just due to making it more accessible for participants and their families. In terms of scheduling, it's sometimes tough to commit to a whole 10-week session. And so now having that option to break it up a little bit more. But we do run year round. So programs do run year round. And like I said, primarily 6 days a week. We do programs during the day and in the evenings. And then, also, like I said, Saturdays, special programs on Sundays.
Thank you.
I do see a comment in the chat here. Is it just horses you have available or a more gentle animal for kids with ADHD and autism? That's a fantastic question. The question was if we just have horses. We actually do have a variety of animals on the farm. The design of the farm is really meant to be, very therapeutic in nature, very calming, we have lots of spaces on the property to help ease that transition into programs when somebody gets to the farm, whether that be from home or a day program or wherever they're coming from. We do have, so primarily our programs are focused with horses. We do have a miniature horse. We have actually a few miniature horses. And so that is sometimes a nice starter for kids who might be a little bit apprehensive about the bigger horses or not interested in riding. Our littlest mini horse Star goes out into the community to events, and he's really about the size of like a medium to large dog. So very accessible for kids or adults even who might be a little bit nervous around the horses. We do also have a pig, we have cats, we have ducks, we have geese. So there are other animals as well. But I will say our horses, so one of the unique things about our center and being an accredited center is our really our standards that we're held to in terms of the training and conditioning of the horses. So these are not, really just kind of any horses. These are horses that have come from either really particular backgrounds that make them excellent choices for more therapeutic lessons. They've gone through really extensive training. So a lot of times, these horses are, typically you think of horses and they're very big and they're flight animals. And that's not to say that things can't happen, but these horses are really specially trained for the job they're doing. So very, very gentle, very patient with kids, with adults. They stand for very complex mounts that can sometimes take quite a while or really be high assist in terms of instructors, therapists, or volunteers. A lot of them are used to external stimuli like loud noises or sudden movements that maybe, a typical horse at a barn or stable wouldn't be. I think Kathy raised her
Yeah, I was
hand.
just gonna say, I see your hands up, Kathy.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, maybe you said it and I might have missed it. Do you have an age limit on either end of age limits that you work with? Because I might have missed that part.
Not really on the upper end. So it really comes into individual contraindications then. What might happen sometimes with older adults, we do have a program specifically geared towards older adults. And what sometimes happens is they might be contraindicated to ride and get on the horse based on feedback from their physician or their physical therapy team. But they might still be able to do what we call groundwork. So it's unmounted work with the horses. And so we do see that sometimes with that upper age range, but we do also have participants up into their 70s and I think right now early 80s who, as long as they're medically cleared and there aren't contraindications, might be able to get on the horse too. Right now, in terms of younger age range, we are typically starting around 4. We can start a little earlier. We have started as young as 3. We can start as young as 2 in some programs, but we typically don't start that young unless it's really a therapy-driven program. So a program that is being driven by a physical therapist or an occupational therapist. We do have the ability to offer those programs, but typically In the case of, for instance, where we're bringing on one of our physical therapists, the participant would have to have a physical therapy script and specific PT goals. So we do see that sometimes with the younger kids, in particular, sometimes with the OT, but typically, even just attention span for, the ability to really get as much out of it as possible. 4 years old tends to kind of be the sweet spot 4 and above.
We had another question in the, wow, we have a couple questions coming through in the chat. When it comes to social groups in your program, how do you feel kids who are nonverbal excel in your program with other students?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The groups in particular, one thing that we do try to do with our groups is, first of all, try to make sure that they're groups that fit well. So even if we do have, maybe say 2 out of 4 of the participants in a group might be nonverbal and maybe 2 are. We're going to try to make our groups, to the greatest extent possible, be maybe kids around the same age range, or if we have a group of adults that are around the same age range, so that we can try to foster some of those social benefits, regardless, without necessarily having that barrier. So, we have participants all the way up through, like I said, 70s, 80s. So we're going to generally try to not put, a 60-year-old man in a lesson with a 6-year-old girl. We're going to try to keep them very age appropriate so that those activities, those interactions with the horses, can be shared communication. So a lot of what we'll do in those groups in particular is a lot of skill building right off the bat, but then shared skill building with the horses. So for instance, if we have a group of 4, tacking up, which is getting the horses ready in teams, where we're kind of intentionally pairing particular participants to have to be able to work together. And maybe those are things that they've already worked on individually in terms of sequencing, putting the tack on the horses, grooming the horses, but being able to, same thing when they're on the horses too, whether it be kind of relay style, obstacle course style, those ways that we can foster some of that engagement, even if communication styles differ.
Perfect, because I think that you actually answered the next question in that response as well. So I think we're gonna go to Kim's question, and then anything else we'll hold to the end just in the interest of time. But Kim had asked, are you considering accepting participants through the waiver?
So waivers, I'd say it mostly just depends on if, more like if the waivers programs accept us. And I know that sounds kind of tricky, but so like we have, through the FDFSS program, we have quite a few participants who are coming through those recreation, and not necessarily waivers, but so on. Specifically, so we don't have an ODP contract specifically, but we have had participants that have had luck if they're going through a third party, if that makes sense. So we have participants who, whether it be, like I said, FDFSS with Easter sales or waiver funding, if they're going through the ARC, they tend to have a lot better luck than getting us covered from a recreational standpoint. Again, we'll accept really any type of funding source as long as it can still meet our program requirements in terms of when a participant enrolls, payment due dates and things like that, which quite a few of them do, and we'll be able to fill out any type of paperwork and anything that is required on our end. But it more so, sometimes what we've seen is we'll have some participants who have a funding source and they submit it to us and we submit it back, and sometimes we are an approved activity and sometimes we are not an approved activity. So I know that's kind of a vague answer, but we'll pretty much accept any type of funding source that our participants can successfully obtain. We have no problem accepting.
All right, thanks, Jesse. Any other questions that people might have for Jesse? We'll come back at the end if we have time. But we are going to move on to Kathy from Therapeutic Arts Group. Thanks, Kathy, for joining us tonight.
Sure, thank you so much. So, my name is Kathy Purcell. I'm the Director of Therapeutic Arts Group. We provide individual and group music therapy and art therapy services throughout Eastern Pennsylvania and parts of New Jersey. I'm going to try to do some technology things today, and I have nobody here in the office to help me. So if it doesn't work, I'll just keep talking. But I wanted to see if I can share my screen. So I wanted to first say that, again, we primarily provide individual and group music therapy and art therapy, but we also can provide lessons in music or art, as well as enrichment programs for individuals or groups, or interactive programming and entertainment programs for special occasions. So like a birthday party, a family reunion, special event of whatever kind, we can do that. What I want to try to do here, hold on, is see if I can do this. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay, can you guys see that screen?
You are successful, Kathy.
Yes. Okay, so this is basically just a picture of our logo, and basically our philosophy is that we want to enrich people's lives through music and art. That can take place in many different forms. What you see here are some pictures of therapists interacting with clients. So we do work with people of all different ages, abilities, and needs. So most of our folks do have a specific diagnosis, although we do work with like typically developing folks as well. So in the upper, left-hand corner, there's a therapist doing art therapy. There's a toddler at the bottom with a parachute doing some music, interactive music and movement activities. There's also another music activity in the bottom right-hand corner with some younger kids, and then the older adults in the upper right-hand corner. And everything that we do is tailored to the needs and interests of the people we're working with. So we have an intake process where we, have the individual themselves or their caregiver or responsible party fill out information so that we can learn more about them and design the services to meet their needs. This is another pictures of some music therapy and art therapists in action here. So the clients are, playing instruments or moving to music. In art, they are doing things with the written word, with art projects and things like that. What I want to share with you a little bit is just a small portion of this particular video. This is an amazing video on music therapy. And I'm going to try to see if, see if I can figure out how to get to that. Hold on for 1 second. This is just a few minutes of this video in the middle of the long video. But again, I'll provide you with the link. I can put it in the chat if you want, or I can send it to you later. I'm hoping, wait a minute, hold on. How do I share the sound? Oh no. Share sound. Okay, I think I got it. Let's see if this works. So the title of this video is, Does Music Therapy Work? But this particular portion, this gentleman is explaining a lot about different types of music therapy and how it works and so forth.
Sleep as a baby, or learn from singing, play an instrument. Your musical taste says something about your personality, or if you're like me, shaggy immediately makes you think of awkward middle school dances. Music is connected to so many different aspects of our lives, and so it should come as no surprise that it can be an effective form of therapy. The concept of music as healing is nothing new. Plato and Aristotle praised the virtues of music as keeping force, and modern day played its heart to King Saul, driver spirit. American Indians use chants to heal the sick. There are literally thousands of examples. But modern music therapy first began during World War I with soldiers suffering from shell shock and their mental health issues. Musicians were brought in by the military to play for recovering veterans, but the doctors and nurses soon realized that soldiers who were engaged with the music were healing faster. They used music as an outlet to process their emotional and mental disorders, and it served as a practical way to recover from traumatic brain injuries. So music, it was good. But what's so special about music therapy? Well, no doubt you've prescribed yourself some music that you want to make. It's not having most it's not just listening about the sure hanging in the basement, noticing the world turning by a guitar jungle beats. Or is it something that volunteers want to make instead, it's a totally legit, evidence-based form of mental health treatment conducted by trained professional therapists that uses music to accomplish specific goals. Various procedures. There are two big categories of music therapy: receptive and active. Receptive music therapy focuses on listening to music in order to gain its healing effects. This could be with either recording or live music. The program for receptive music therapy classes that make connect with music on an emotional level. It allows for processing of the song, what it means. Listening to music may allow clients to access difficult emotions or change how they feel or use lyrics to explore new insights. This form of therapy has been shown to improve mood, increase relaxation while decreasing stress, easing pain, and lowering anxiety levels. And on the other side, there's active music therapy, which engages in music. This could involve singing, playing instruments, even writing music. The active type shows similar benefits to receptive music, but it relies heavily on self-expression as the focus of therapy. Additionally, since active music therapy involves the voice, either through singing or playing, it's the most effective for recovery from traumatic injuries. Now, that said, both forms of therapy are effective. Everyone should be significantly better than the other. Instead, it should be tailored to the client themselves. For example, a child with ADHD may struggle with focusing through an entire song, and active music therapy might be preferable. On the other hand, a cancer patient may not have the energy of a song playing a song and would greatly benefit from passive music therapy.
Okay, so could you guys hear that, I hope, and see that? So I'm just going to continue on. So, in music therapy, we use individualized goals. So although, I know this is about recreational, but we also do, like it's therapy and recreational programs as well. So we are working on all of these different things, but most of our clients don't even realize that they're having therapy. They just know that they're having a fun time, an engaging time doing something with either music or art or the two together. So we do work on individualized goals, focusing on social, emotional, cognitive, communication, and physical goals. And the different interventions that we do, there's the active playing music, moving to music, singing to music, doing a stop and go kind of activity. We can do songs with a Mad Lib style parody, or we can even write songs with clients. And the cool part is the clients don't have to have a specific skill or talent in either music or art. It's the therapist's job to provide the talent in the discipline and the client's willingness to engage with us in whatever discipline we choose, or they're choosing actually. Receptive in music therapy, we're working with like lyric discussion, intentional song choice, music-centered meditation, and these kind of things. Like we do work with clients to write songs as well, or to help them choose music that they can use outside of our sessions to help benefit their life. So if they have a specific situation that makes them nervous, or they're afraid of something, or they're unable to relax, like to go to bed at night, or they're nervous about riding the bus or whatever they're doing, we can work with them to come up with some kind of music, rhythm, song, something to help them be able to calm themselves and be more oriented and able to participate in whatever they're doing. And conversely, we can also choose music to help them be more active. So if they're having difficulty getting out of bed for school in the morning or getting ready to go to work or whatever they're doing, we can help them choose some music or write some music with them to help them be able to do that. We can also work through passive music listening for background ambiance type of thing. And then in the art field, the art therapists are working on drawing and coloring. They work with clay, they work with paints, all kinds of different creativity with art. So it's often actually making art, but it can also involve, visually looking at art, verbally discussing art. I've seen them make some collages and different things. So they're working on self-expression and gaining some positive social experiences with the therapist and or with the others that are in the session with them if it's a group session type of thing. So we do have a therapeutic relationship with our clients, whether we are focused more on recreational programming or therapeutic programming. We respect our clients. We design services and interventions that are geared towards their level, their skill level, their functioning level, their interest, so that they can be successful, yet challenged to do something creative and express themselves in different ways. And we're working with intentionality. We all have open minds, open hearts, and open ears, and we let the music or the art do the work that needs to happen. So here's a little information on how to obtain therapy services. So we obviously provide music therapy and art therapy services, as well as recreational programs as well. But you can always go to these websites to learn more about finding a music therapist or an art therapist if you want a different service, or if you know someone that's not in our area that needs services, you can direct them to these websites. I also am happy to try to help find a music therapist or an art therapist for folks that are not able to have services from us or not in our area. And we also do virtual services as well. So we do have clients throughout the country that can participate in services virtually with our therapists also. And funding sources. So sometimes we are able to get insurances to pay, typically private insurance, not necessarily Medicare and Medicaid, except for the 3 waiver programs. There are sometimes grants that cover services, private pay. Sometimes there's local and state funding. Through schools, music therapy or art therapy can be added to a student's IEP. And there's some complexity to that. And I'm happy to share information with folks if they want to email us or call. We're happy to help give you information to try to help determine if that is an appropriate IEP service for your child. The waivers, the PFDS, Community Living and Consolidated Waivers, we do work with those through many different counties in Pennsylvania. And we also provide services through different organizations, either a residential program, through a hospice program, through a day program, etc. So we're open to try to help people find funding to be able to afford services that are interested in having them. And that is a picture of our building. So we do provide services here in the building. I'm standing right there in the building right now. And so we do have services here in the building, but we also do go out into the community. We see folks through a very large geographic area from up north of the Poconos all the way down through South Philadelphia, west to like Reading, Lancaster, York areas, and then through Kutztown and the greater Lehigh Valley. And I'm very directionally challenged, so I'd have to look at a map. But anyway, we have 33 therapists right now that provide either music therapy or art therapy throughout the region and virtually as well. So that's really all I've got. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop the share. And you can call us anytime or email us or check out the website.
Thanks, Kathy. So we have one question in the chat. Where is your building located?
Oh, Sure. So the building is located at 1624 Schott Avenue, and I'll type it in the chat when I'm done because Schott is spelled Schadt, which is strange. In Whitehall, we're really close to the Lehigh Valley Mall area, and we do provide services here. Typically Monday through Friday. Sometimes we do Saturdays. It just depends. I know there's another therapist working on a Saturday schedule for during the school year because there were some kiddos that had services, they wanted them during the week in the summertime, so they had the weekends free. So we're sort of making a switcheroo with that in the next couple weeks, I guess.
Any other questions for Kathy? Is there a wait list?
So that depends. So part of what's really important is that relationship between the therapist and the client. And just because a therapist happens to have availability, it may not be the right therapist for that client, or maybe the wrong discipline. So if you really want music therapy and we don't have a music therapist available, we have an art therapist available, maybe it's something you want to try, or maybe it's not. So it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. It also depends on geographically where you're located, if you're coming to the building or if we're coming to you. And if you give us I have from, 10 to 11 on a Tuesday is the only time I can do sessions, I may not be able to do that. But if you have more open availability, we might be able to get you in sooner. So I'm sorry to say, it kind of depends. But we do our best to not have a wait list. I do know that there are some portions of our geographic area where we don't have services right now because the therapists that are there are full. So, but just call our office, and also if we know that there are people waiting, we can try to coordinate things and maybe juggle some things around to get you in sooner rather than later. Oh, and sometimes we have people that start with virtual services for a session or two till we can get someone there in person or what have you. So again, we'll do what we can. But thank you for your question.
Thanks. Anything else for Kathy? Okay, so we will move on then to Julie with Special Olympics.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to do the same. Share if that works for you. I will make an attempt to make this easy. Let's see. Give me just a minute here. That working for everybody, I hope?
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So my name's Julie Benjamin. I am the Executive Director for Special Olympics Pennsylvania, which is in the Greater Lehigh Valley Pocono region. I know that a lot of people have heard of Special Olympics. So I think one of the things that we find as a challenge is we have great name recognition, but a lot of people don't really know what we do in the community. So in general, we really focus on 4 things: sports, health, leadership, and we have a program in our schools called Unified Champion Schools. So oftentimes we use sports as the foundation, but that really leads to a whole series of other things that we do along. We serve folks ages 2 to 80 plus. I say 80 plus because we have 2 women right now who are both 77. Judith is a swimmer and she still competes, and Rosie is just competed in a soccer tournament that we had for skills, and she's also 77. So there's no age limit. I provided this in terms of from the kind of beginning. Our programs are provided at no cost to our athletes or our families. So the funding piece is not necessarily applies in the same way because those fees aren't assessed. And you can see a little bit here along the bottom in this graphic is the programs for young athletes are from 2 to 7. And those are designed to be programs that really focus on motor skills, balance. They're also designed to be inclusive. So we offer them an environment for kids with and without an intellectual disability. Just to be a little broader in terms of who we serve, it's intellectual disability, developmental disability with a cognitive delay. That's kind of a broad area, but again, we don't turn folks away. But those are our general parameters in terms of the folks who fall within our area of service. Our Unified Champion Schools, those are programs that provide inclusive environments where kids with and without a disability participate as equal team members. We offer that in elementary all the way through college level. And then what we refer to as our community schools are training sites in a variety of different sports, and that starts at age 8. This is just to give you a little bit of an idea. Statewide, we have about 15,000 athletes. Regionally, that should be 2,500. We're missing a 0 there, so forgive me for that. I think when this downloaded, it feels like it missed some numbers, so it's not necessarily accurate. But this just gives you a little bit of a sense. We offer 20 different sports that are available at 86 different training sites, and I'll kind of go through those sports for you as well. This gives you a little bit of a map. I think Jesse kind of did a good job of talking about kind of where you started and where you've been. Special Olympics has been around since the mid-60s. Special Olympics Pennsylvania has been around for more than 50 years. Previous to 2020, our programs were really articulated and driven by really dedicated volunteers across the state in about 63 different counties. And while that worked for the first 50 years, it was a challenging model. And our volunteers were the first to tell us that that was a challenge for them to be able to continue to do more and to reach more people. So we created a regional structure, and a regional structure meant that we would have hired staff in each of the 9 regions that you see on the screen. We're the Greater Lehigh Valley Pocono region, so that's Berks, Bethlehem, Carbon, Lehigh, Monroe, Northampton, and Schuylkill County. These are the sports that I was talking about. We have 86 different training sites across the region. We are able to offer these sports in every skill level. So if it's a team sport, for example, volleyball, we have teams for volleyball, but we also have skills. So athletes can come in and it can be an introduction to a sport, and they can learn skills like bumping or setting. Really basic, but it's a great way to get a start. We do the same thing for basketball, for flag football. Many of our team sports have soccer has a skill level. And then as you progress to team level sports, we have varying degrees of skill level. The idea is that we pair when we're creating our teams and we're creating opportunities for competition. That age and ability are always part of our divisioning process, so that you're able to compete against another team of equal skill. And I'll just shout out, our equestrian program is through Equi-Librium, so thank you for that partnership. We love it, and our Northampton program loves that as well. More than sports, I think, as much as we are known for our sports, that's really the heart of what we've done. But we really like to focus on a lot of the social and leadership skill benefits that come from that. It's a lot of text, but basically what it amounts to is that being a part of Special Olympics provides a lot of additional benefits. In terms of leadership, we offer opportunities to have very specific training, whether it be public speaking. We also have positions that are available for health and fitness coordinator, being an athlete representative. All of this sort of boils down to creating and enhancing and hopefully fostering life skills that are obviously beneficial on and off the playing field. People who participate in Special Olympics are 5 times more likely to be employed. So those are great statistics, and it comes from a lot of really basic components to being a part of a team, showing up on time. Again, I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know, but these are skills that can be honed. And following direction, working on what your personal best is like. What is a goal? How do you come up with a work plan? If you want to achieve something within your sport, how do you do that? And how are you able to achieve that? Our Unified Champion Schools, we have more than 500 statewide, and we have 44 in the region. Right now, we're offering bocce and or track and field. And again, I apologize for how the PowerPoint downloaded, but it's really a program that combines three elements. Obviously, the interscholastic unified sport element. They're PIAA sports, so if it's a high school sport, the students who participate, both with and without a disability, are varsity sports. They participate just like any other varsity sport. I know we have a number of our schools that have the big posters of the seniors when they're in their varsity year. Our athletes are up there with all of them. They're eligible for varsity jackets, varsity letters. If there's a pep rally for their sport, they're going to be included in all of that. Another component is to have a unified club where students with and without a disability work together and co-lead that club within a high school environment. And that club then is designed to create activities within their school that create an inclusive climate. Of course, the activities vary if it's a high school, a middle school, or elementary school, but the idea is that we are creating inclusive climates from a young age, and that students are able to create genuinely meaningful friendships and relationships from a really early age, not something that they would learn later in life once they're in college. It becomes part of their schooling education, it's a part of their elementary school, it's part of their middle school, and it becomes part of their high school. Again, I think just this reiterates a little bit about the importance to have health and fitness programs. We offer a program that's called Healthy Athletes, and it is a free screening program that's available to our athletes at a number of events that we offer throughout the state. And it's designed specifically to address a lot of what you see on the screen. There's a podiatry screening, there's a dentistry screening, there's audiology, there's vision. These are all challenges for much of the population. And so these are free screenings. If it's an audiology, they can receive a referral and hearing aids. If it's a vision screening, we offer literally hundreds of prescription glasses, sports goggles, and swim goggles every year to our athletes who are able to participate and benefit from the screenings. Some of the screenings I was talking about, the 3 health screenings, athlete performance training is another element that we have incorporated into our sports programming, and it's designed to really be an element that will measure activity. So we do a lot of measurements and evaluations in the beginning, and then we do the athlete performance training, which talks about cardiovascular activity and another of other elements. And then at the end of the 10 weeks, we do another evaluation to measure the activity and any benefits that have come along the way. For our athletes, about 2 times more likely to have cardiovascular disease, 2 times more likely to be obese, and about 5 times more likely to be diabetic. So these are all programs that are designed to create activities that can help mitigate some of the challenges that people face as they get older. I went quickly, and forgive me, but I wasn't sure, just trying to allow enough time for other folks. If you have questions or if there are elements that I didn't spend enough time on, please let me know. Happy to answer questions or provide more information.
Hi, do you have a problem when somebody lives in one county and does an activity in another county, or do you have to stick to your county?
You do not. That was part of regionalization. So you can go anywhere, right? You can, that was part of the older model that was very county-based, but we've been quote unquote regionalized since 2020. So athletes and participants are able to participate really wherever. I know I talk to new families who will call all the time, and really what we ask them is where they live or where do they work, because we're trying to find an environment that is more convenient. So you might live in Northampton County, but maybe you work or receive services in Lehigh, and it's a lot more convenient to go to a training site in Lehigh County than it is Northampton. So it doesn't matter.
Can you give me the website?
Sure. You know what? I will make sure that we do that, but it's Special Olympics
Okay,
PA.org.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And then if you go to, and again, I'm happy to share, we've got our information on the last slide for me too. But once you're on that, that's the statewide website. You can go to find a program and that will take you to our region.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And if you want information, I'm sure through Miranda, happy to share my direct contact information for our region here and our office. We're based in Bethlehem, but we serve all the counties that I listed earlier in the slide presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So we do have a question in the chat. I'm a bit confused when it comes to Special Olympics. I received a link from my son's first grade autistic support teacher, but I don't really understand how he's supposed to participate in the program and what sport he's allowed to play and with who. It's just so confusing.
Yes. So that's the good and bad side of all this. The good news is that we offer a lot of different options. So that's why perhaps it's confusing. I'm assuming that the person in the chat, that your child receives services through the IU. If that's correct, that's probably a school-based program, which we offer. That's in Northampton and Monroe County. And that the sports that are available to them vary. Yes, correct. I see that. So thank you, Cynthia. So it depends on their grade level. And those sports per grade level have been chosen specifically for a reason, just based on age and ability, so that they're able to compete. Again, if you have more questions, you're welcome to reach out to our office. I know that we also, obviously, if you've not met already, Amanda Seacrest, she runs the school-based program for the IU, and she can offer a little bit more specific information about your specific child in your specific classroom, because I don't want to speak for all of them, because sometimes there are variations of what's offered in each school. Yes, of course you can participate outside of school. In fact, that's what we want. We want you to be able to have that experience when your children are in school, but starting at age 8, they are able to participate outside of school. And those are still the same sort of roughly 20 different sports that were listed on the slide presentation. Again, if it's easier for everyone, Miranda, I can share the slide presentation and we can share that with everybody. I did probably go through too quickly.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely. And again, the programs and sports continue to be free to everyone outside in the community or in school. If he's 6, you do need to wait until he's 8. And that's just really more for safety and compatibility for our team sports. But once he's 8 years old, he is not only able but encouraged to participate. And we have sports, as you saw, every season. So we have summer, fall, winter, and spring, 20 different sports to choose from. So I'm sure there would be something that hopefully he will like. And then the model for our sports programming is that we train roughly 10 weeks, and then athletes have the opportunity to advance to regional and sectional competitions. In fact, we have our fall sectional competition coming up October 5th at DeSales. And that's where all of our Special Olympics athletes from Philadelphia all the way up to the New York border come to DeSales and compete. And then from there, the athletes who advance will go on to our statewide championship. So not only do you have an opportunity to compete at a local level, but you have an opportunity to compete. And I'll just give a little shout out. Our flag football team from Northampton, they qualified and are representing Team PA for our USA Games in Minnesota. So yay for them. We also have a swimmer from Berks County who is going to USA Games, and one of our alpine skiers from Northampton County. She's 17 and she qualified for our International Winter Games. She went to Turin, Italy in March and brought home 2 silver medals for Team USA. So lots of opportunities from practicing at the local level to having an experience of a lifetime competing in Italy or wherever the next World Games are held.
That is really incredible. Does anybody have any other questions for Julie? All right, so we will move on then to Anthony from Solo Expressions Dance. Thanks for joining us tonight, Anthony.
Thank you guys for having me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First and foremost, again, Anthony Solo Harris. They call me Solo. That's my dance name, Anthony Solo Harris. Solo Expression has been in existence for 4 years now here in the Lehigh Valley. I actually started out not only as a professional dancer, but as a DSP, caregiver, and program manager. So I completely, understand the day-to-day that our superstars have to go through to even participate in all of these great activities that I've been listening to, on this call, and it's just inspiring to hear because I remember when I first started in the field, like when I would sit down in these meetings for our superstars, you wouldn't hear about all of these different resources. So it's just a great thing that you guys are doing with this and all the other service providers on this call. So I just want to thank you, for your service, for what you're doing. As far as me and what we're doing with Solo Expression, again, we've been in existence for 4 years. We have a non-traditional studio setup, meaning that we do what we want, how we want, and we have fun doing it. We don't follow the trends. We don't follow, what you're supposed to do because all of my superstars, learn differently. So, we have to, cater to that. We work with all abilities. I have students that are visually impaired. I have students that are physically impaired in wheelchairs. So we have everything, the whole spectrum. Like we deal with everybody. So we're very inclusive of everybody. And it's real sweet because everybody that comes to class, we all know and we all understand that we're different and we all learn different. And everybody kind of like, attaches to that and everybody helps everybody. So I'm really proud of the atmosphere that's been created with what we're doing. We're located at a couple different locations in the Lehigh Valley area, Easton, Bethlehem, and Allentown. We have a great partnership with a few of the Moravian churches that allow us to use their space. All of their spaces are accessible for everybody, for wheelchairs, everybody. It's all accessible. We always encourage parents and organizations to come and check them out for themselves so that they can see and make sure that they're comfortable, with their loved one, coming to our classes. The goal of Solo Expression is to really evolve, their disabilities, and what that means is that it once we actually get into it and stretching and dancing, I can see, with my trained professional eye, I can see, where the disconnect is, and I can see what needs to be worked on, whether that's lateral movement or whether there's a delay. And so we create drills and different things to help them. In addition to, dancing and making choreography and having fun, we actually do drill and work on building up the skill sets that they lack in, whether that's, cognitive function or their motor skills. So we do work on those things in class, in addition to, having fun. For me, I really want to give them the same experience that I had with dance growing up, like, recitals, dancing around, having fun, which is what we do. We do TikTok videos, our recitals. Every time we've done one for the past 4 years, the news comes out. So that gives like, the superstar effect, which is why I call them superstars. So the news always comes out and supports them. So I'm real happy about that because they get to feel like how I felt. You'll be surprised how much clapping for somebody, goes a long way. So I'm just grateful that, I get to create that space and also the other individuals that help me too, as far as my team. Everybody that participates and helps has some type of DSP or a caregiver experience. The class isn't just only, for our superstars. All the caregivers that bring their clients and all the parents that bring their kids. Everybody's encouraged to dance and be a part of it. We've had recitals where parents get up and dance and be a part of things. So that's what we're looking to do, to continue to do that. The services are not just limited to the Lehigh Valley. I do service New Jersey, and we do service individuals through Zoom because I know some people can't get around, which is why we have the different locations, because it's hard for our individuals, as far as travel and things like that. Everybody's situation is different, so we wanted to make sure that we had a location in each one of the towns, so to kind of make it easier, so people can pick and choose when and where that they wanted to come. What else? Payment. We do take private pay, and we do work with the waiver system here in the Lehigh Valley. So we definitely can work with you. And at the end of the day, dance saved my life. So I would never turn away an individual if they couldn't afford dance, because I wasn't charged. I started off, right in my bathroom mirror dancing, and danced helped me in that way to, evolve myself and figure out my identity. So, money is never really, a factor. So while those things, need to be said, but just know that I would never turn away an individual as long as they wanted to come in there and have a good time and socialize and make new friends and just give it a try. Everything that we're doing can be seen on social media, solo expression, whether that's Facebook, Instagram. We definitely want to stay, up to date and doing things. We have a website, soloexpression.com. You can see some of the different things we've been doing for the past 4 years. We've formed great partnerships with some of the other community organizations like Camelot, Miracle League. We have classes with them right now in season, and also right now, if the individual joins, because we're always accepting. We don't have again, we're not traditional, so we don't do the whole, oh, come audition and do this and do that. We don't do that. You can come anytime you want, and just know when you come, you're always going to be being prepared for a show. So right now, actually next week, we have to get started on our Wizard of Oz production. So we're going to be starting that next week. So any individual that will come now, they would actually be getting ready, for the show in December. They wouldn't just be coming just to dance and just, lounge around. No, you're going to get in there, you're going to get to work, and you're going to meet everybody, and you're going to be, actually like a professional dancer. That's the experience that I try to give to them. We also have a partnership with Mercy special learning school, where they're going to allow us each month to do a social dance party, just to create inclusion. So this Friday, we're going to be having a salsa party in collaboration with Hispanic Heritage Month. We're going to be doing a salsa party. The kids and the adults are going to come. We're going to salsa. We're going to have a good time, have some food, play some games, and just socialize and get to know each other just outside of dance. And that event is also open to everybody. A lot of times, we hear the word inclusion, and our superstars, when they get invited to things, they get invited, but they're at the back. They're at the back of those events, or they're off to the side at those events. I wanted to create a situation where our individuals are at the forefront of the event. It's their event, and the general public gets to come in and be a part of their event. So that's what we're going to be doing monthly with Mercy Special Needs Learning School. So we're going to be creating events that people can come be inclusive with our superstars and meet them and see them and how they operate and make friends that way, not the other way around. So that's what we're doing at Solo Expression. So I hope that answers any questions for anybody. If you have any, I'll gladly take them. But everything is really at soloexpression.com, and you can keep up with what we're doing daily, because we do post daily on Facebook and Instagram at soloexpression.com. We just did a TikTok challenge today, and we're still working on it this week. I see one question. We're in Easton at Palmer Moravian Church. On Mondays, we have that's when we have our kids classes, and we have our teen and young adult on Mondays at Palmer Moravian. From 6:30 to no from 6 o'clock to 7:30, and then we also have a community class on Mondays at East Hills Moravian. That's in Bethlehem on Mondays as well. But all of those things, you guys can get all that information, because once you come on the website, then you guys become a part of the parent email list, and you guys get the monthly schedule and different things that are coming up, like the event, the salsa event, and all the different things that we got going on. I keep everybody updated, either weekly, or if something changes by the day, the updates are made and the emails are sent out.
Awesome. Thank you. That all sounds so fun. I love the Wizard of Oz theme. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, we have another question in the chat. My son is strong-willed. Do you have any kids like that? How do you keep them from just not having any structure in the classroom?
Well, you're talking to one of those kids that grew up. So, you know, so I completely understand. And it's just a matter of where finding just like so dance found me, right? So dance found me, and dance allowed me to receive structure and discipline. If dance and music is his thing, then he'll be open to it, and he won't even recognize that, it's discipline or that it's structure. It's just finding out what he wants to do with it, and long as he's willing to listen, he'll grow, because like I said, everybody there is different, and I allow individuals to be themselves and to be different, meaning like I don't tell them all the time what to do. I allow them to be themselves. I allow them to freestyle. I allow them to pick their music. I give them a sense of ownership, because remember, like I said, I was a DSP myself. So I understand what it's like for an individual to be told what to do every day, all day. And it's like, well, what do I get to do? So even as a kid, you got to look at it that way. It's like you got to give them some ownership, in their life. And sometimes that makes a difference. And is there an age limit? I would say no, because today I was working with a little one that was like 1 year old, and in that same class, I had an 80-year-old Miss Judy, and she be getting down. But the 1 year old was actually one of the students' little brother. So like I said, I do allow the families to come in and watch and be a part of it. So it's not really an age limit thing for me. I like creating energy, and the more people the better.
Awesome. Any other questions for Anthony? Do we have any other questions oh, okay. Okay, so he still throws tantrums, but he does love music and dance.
Don't we all? That's a part of what I'm giving you, is a part of how I view those things. Like I understand, like I get it, like I know, if it's a tantrum, if it's something that's not being controlled at the time, I understand that he might not be able to control himself just yet, but that I'm not going to give up on him. And like, yes, I do. Everybody does understand. They understand. Some of my staff have special needs children. So again, everybody understands to some degree. Everybody understands to some degree. Trust me when I tell you, and me more than ever, especially with what you're talking about. So if I can overcome it and sit here on this Zoom with you and talk to you like I got some sense, I'm pretty sure I could probably help your son, or at least start getting him on the right track to, starting to regulate himself. Because that's what it's about. Everything isn't always about what we want them to do and how we want them to do it. Sometimes we have to just guide them to their own self-regulation. Yes. Yes, I can. You talk it's kind of like I'm my own client. You're welcome, Miss Cynthia. Just all you could do, just try it out. That's the thing. Just try. That's the whole thing. Just try, and then we'll see. That's all. And I always welcome that. I always welcome individuals to just come try it, see how they feel, see how the student feels, and then we just go from there. Because it's all about trust and feeling comfortable. Self-expression. Nobody wants to self-express if they don't trust or feel comfortable. So if this environment is comfortable for him, we'll work with it. And everything isn't about just him dancing. If he can come there and just feel safe and give me a high five, then that's where we start.
Awesome. Any other questions for Anthony or for any of our presenters tonight?
Thank you guys for having me. And I appreciate hearing, just all these different services. Again, when I used to sit in on IEP meetings, it would seem like nobody had any answers, nobody had any resources. So just even this whole thing of us being on this call is amazing to me, from when I started, being a caregiver. So thank you guys for just even all being a part of this, because this is going to spread.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of the presenters tonight and for everybody who logged on. I am going to stop the recording now.